So in today's video, we'll be looking at how to convert fractions to decimals and percentages. I guess the most important thing to understand initially is what a fraction, a decimal, and a percentage is. So a fraction, for example, 1/4, simply means 1 divided by 4. It represents a division that we can't usually do because the first number is smaller than the second one, so it shows part of a whole number. Now, a decimal is just another way of representing a number that isn't a whole number or isn't complete, so it's part of a number. So, for example, 0.25. And then the easiest way to think of percentages is that it actually means percent, so per 100. So it would be taking the decimal and just multiplying it by 100. So, to convert from fractions to decimals, the easiest thing is to just do that division. So, if we have, still using that quarter, if we have a quarter, just calculate 1 divided by 4, and that will give you the decimal 0.25. From there, we can take that decimal 0.25, and to get a percentage, we just multiply by 100. Yeah? So that's how we do it going that way. Then going the other way, to get from a percentage to a decimal, you just divide by 100, right? It's just the opposite of it. Decimals to fractions are slightly more difficult, but not much once you see a worked example. But pretty much how you do it is you just put it over a factor of 10, which will make more sense when we go through the examples. And then you simplify. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. So let's take the fraction 3/4 or 3/4, and we want to convert it to a decimal. So like I said before, 3/4 is the same as 3 divided by 4. So we're going to do that. So set up your division. So how many times does 4 fit into 3? So obviously we can see 4 fit into 3 0 times, right? Because the 3 is smaller than the 4. So what we do is create a decimal. We make it 3.0. And now we're going to go, okay, well, how many times does 4 fit into 30? So now if you go through your times tables, so we're going to use 4 times 7, which is 28. Then you do the subtraction. 30 minus 28 is 2. Now, 4 into 2, oh wait, we still need that 0 up there. Drag the 2 up. Now we're doing 4 into 20. Now, 4 times 5 is 20, so we can fit that in exactly. 4 fits into 25 times with 20 and 0 remainder. So there we have our decimal. Our decimal of 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. Now we want to convert that into a percentage. So what we do is 0.75. Now it's 0.75 per 100. So we multiply by 100. And all multiplying by 100 does is move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 1 place for each 0, which gives us 75 or 75%, which we can pop under the percentages over here. 75%. Okay, this next one, 0.4. We start off as a decimal. Now it's obviously very easy to convert to a percentage. We just multiply by 100, which moves the decimal place 2 places to the right. So 4 times 100 gives 40, or 40%. Now comes the difficult part. So now we want to take that 0.4 and turn it into a fraction. So if we look at it, we have one number, the 4, to the right of the decimal point. So this means to make this a whole number, to make 0.4 a whole number, we can multiply by 10, because that will give us 4. So what we do is to keep this the same, we're going to go, okay, well, keep it all the same. If we're multiplying by 10, we also have to divide by 10, which is why we make it a fraction. And that gives us 4 over 10. Now we want to simplify, because, well, 2 times 2 is also 4, and 5 times 2 is also 4. These 2's cancel out, and we're left with 2 on 5. And that is the simplified fraction of 0.4. Now, last one, we have 20%. Now, 20% into a decimal, we just divide by 100. So, rewrite the 20 with that decimal place, and move the decimal place 2 to the left because we're dividing. We get 0.2. And that is our decimal, 0.2. Now we want to take that decimal and convert it into a fraction. So 0.2, how many numbers do we have on the right-hand side? We have 1, the 2, which means that we can multiply by 10 and divide by 10, because this top part will give us 2 as a whole number. The divided by 10 stays the same. Then we can cancel out. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we get 1 over 5. And that is our fraction. 1 over 5. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense now. I do have some further practice questions down here. I'd like you to pause the video and give those a go by yourself, and then come back if you get stuck or if you just want the solution. So the little dot that I put over those 6's indicates or shows us that the 6 is repeating. So we can see if we have 36 is always going to be the closest factor or multiple of 6. And we're always going to end up with a remainder of 4. And that's just going to keep on going. So instead of writing 0.1666666, we just put a little dot over the top to show that it's repeating. And that concludes today's video. I hope that helps, and good luck with further maths.